So this is just another one of them, you know, them question things. But it's one I've done. Won't call it controversial or anything. It's just a more kind of open, honest look. These are the questions that you don't get in these things because there's some fear of transparency and honesty, generally speaking. So just thought I'd ask the questions nobody asks. It is a tag. I mean, I'm not widely watched or seen by many anyway, so it's doubtful anyone would do it. But even if I was, it's doubtful anyone will pick it up anyway. I suppose I understand. Content creators, influencers don't want to rock the boat, do they really? Or be honest, because for some reason, yeah, well, whatever. It's not negative. There's some positive questions in there too. You know, new leaf. I'm trying not to be negative. I just thought it'd be interesting myself. I'm quite happy to be transparent and honest and all that jazz. So the first question is, what is the worst hyped fragrance you've smelt? Now, worst is of course a subjective term. It doesn't necessarily mean poor quality or anything like that, does it? It just means worse subjectively. And there are a lot of fragrances that are constantly hyped, and they are generally PR fragrances. You'd think there'd be quite a few on this list, but I have to go with the entire line, well, recent line from Charlotte Tilbury. I don't think I've smelt anything to me as objectively garbage. They are. Some of them are very similar to some of the potions that Penhaligon's released, and others are just. It is like they're just different flavours of Cashmeran. To call them generic is pushing it. They are what I suppose what's popular, and they just have a lot of an awful lot of molecular kind of stuff in them. Some people may have genuinely liked them, but the amount of hype around this, you would think they were the greatest releases that have ever come out. There was nothing new, nothing interesting, and to be quite frank, some of them were offensive. Now again, this is my subjective view. Like I say, I'm not having a go at anyone who genuinely liked them, but all the PR that went out and all the hype, yeah, and the names. I mean, I think we all know I have a particular issue with More Sex. That was just horrific. Beef with Cashmeran. That's basically it. So yeah, I don't need to make these longs, but that's the hype that I was just bemused by. Next is one that's close to my heart, and it's do you gender fragrances, and if so, why? As a content creator, and I find this question ultimately very interesting, because there are a lot of fragrances out there that are marketed one way or the other. We know that, and we know the marketing is complete nonsense. Everyone knows it is just marketing. It is nothing more or less. And you know this because these same influencers who really have an issue and really kind of push it to one gender or another, it's very feminine smelling, like they have a panic attack that it's too feminine leading. I don't know what that means. I genuinely cannot understand what feminine leaning or masculine leaning is. Does it have a penis? Does it cause you to wear bras? Does it spray a full face of makeup on? I don't understand what it means. And I know they say, well, traditionally, what do you mean traditionally? There was no gender in fragrances traditionally. So I don't really understand what they mean. And some of the most hyped ones, like let's say Black Orchid from Tom Ford, which every influencer will talk about, and they don't use the word feminine leading or whatever, but that was released as a feminine marketed fragrance. So this is how you know they're just talking utter nonsense. Absolute nonsense. It was the same with Guidance when it came out. Oh, it's quite feminine leaning. And then it gets hyped to hell and goes really big, and then no one mentions it. I don't even believe in the word unisex. It's just a fragrance. Fragrance is for everyone. It's like a flavour of something. And this is I know it seems like a really stupid analogy, but strawberries are sweet and delicious. Are they only for women? Is beer only for men? It's just ridiculous. Why they do it? The algorithm, because companies won't change, sticking with that bro culture, incel culture, fear of not being masculine or what. I don't know. I don't know why they do it. I don't do it, and I'll be honest, I have had a few videos with that title of masculine leading ones, but to kind of open up, they're not marketed towards men fragrances in it, to kind of make people, I'm not going to make people think I'm nobody, but really, do people really think fragrances are gendered? Anyway, that's that question. Next one's quite an easy, quick one. Roughly what percentage of your fragrance collection do you wear? Honestly, I might have 150, 200 maybe, I don't know. Never counted them. What percentage do I honestly wear regularly? 10%, if that. My most worn fragrance by a million miles is one I don't even like. It's Chanel Allure Homme. It's terrible, but it's just one you spray on when you need it, and it's easy to put on. And I'm ashamed to say I only wear that many. It means I've got too many fragrances. What does it? It just means I have we go through different phases of moods and such like, don't we? They might not be the same 10% throughout the year. And I suppose it's fair enough. But it does show we can be quite wasteful, doesn't it? So that's my honest answer to that question. What's the least liked PR I've received? Now, I mean, this is pushing the boundaries a bit, isn't it? But I know not all content creators that receive PR and stuff, but everyone loves it. Everyone thinks it's the greatest thing that they've ever smelt and ever received ever. Unless there's like a groupthink attack on a company, which happens, and then they all hate on it. That has happened a few times actually. But the PR I've most disliked, I've had a few, I'm not going to lie, but a few from Orientica. Now some of them actually are fairly good. They're generally speaking clones of other things. And some of them have been fair enough, good, especially for the price and stuff. Fairly good fragrances. They are PR, so I didn't pay for them, so it's really easy for me to say, yeah, they're alright for the price. Would I buy them? No. And a few of them have just been a big miss. They've just been too much. It's this kind of modern thing of making fragrances as strong as humanly possible, and some of them are just unwearable to me because they're just too much. So yeah, that's me being honest. Some PR I have not loved. Next is, am I still excited about fragrances when I first started? So really, I mean, I've asked these questions. It's a really hard question to answer. In some ways, yes. I am now enjoying the thrill of discovering vintage and kind of indie fragrances. Things that not a lot of people talk about still and stuff. Doesn't make them bad, does it? We know how the fragrance community works. Money spins what's popular and what's mentioned a lot, doesn't it? Which is how it is. I'm not going to have a dig at that. But am I as excited when I started? In some ways more so, because I've tuned out of YouTube to a point. I don't watch a lot of the people I originally did and stuff. I don't want to watch adverts. And if you do that and then you smell all the things they're hyping, you're going to be just constantly disappointed. So it's about starting to make the discoveries on your own, isn't it, really? And there are some great ones, and there are some brands that really excite me. And although I've slated it this year, Amouage is still one of them. I still have hope that they will bring out something decent, something unique, something high quality like they used to be, and not go down this generic path. I have hope. Maybe it will need a change of director. I'm not saying that it's not up to me who they employ, but maybe they need to go back to basics again. But yeah, I'm still excited. Do I use perfume terminology that is meaningless? Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, I've just used the word hypes about 20 times. Hyperbole doesn't really mean in what sense it's kind of meant. I suppose I use words like, well, to be fair, no, I think I'm pretty basic, and nobody needs to know this. I am fairly well educated, especially around language. I think I speak like or write in the same way I speak, and use it pretty basically, because I suppose that's my career path, to break things down so that they're easy to understand and not use weird nonsensical terminology like beast mode or whatever. But we know the reason these words are used generally is, again, it's algorithm chasing, isn't it? These nonsensical words kind of go with the algorithm. I mean, who in real life uses the words panty dropping who's not 12? I mean, who uses it anyway? Even a 12-year-old would cringe at something like that. But that's Fragcom for you. So the answer to that is not really. Next one, whether you've had PR or not, is an honest one. Have you ever messaged a brand for PR? Oh, nobody would answer. Yes, I have actually. A long time ago. Don't do it now. And I regretted it. It was a brand, one of these kind of clone brands. And at the time I was just craving a oud satin mood. I can't even remember what they were called, and I just said, I don't suppose you have samples available, which we kind of know sometimes, especially from others, means I'm not willing to pay for it. Send me a bottle. That's not what I meant. I did actually mean samples, because we know some of these bottles you can get lumbered with. But they did send me a bottle, and I obviously did my posts, and it was alright. It was a good version of oud satin mood actually. And I still wear it occasionally, and that's not a lie. The point in lying. So yes, I have once messaged a brand for PR. Personally, I find it disgusting and gross. Why are you doing that? It's like putting your hand out in the street, isn't it? Give me something. Like I said, I didn't feel good about it. Haven't done it since, because it's just icky. But people have no shame. It's like no shame, isn't it? And one of the things, I mean, I'm going off on one here, that annoys me too, is because I know it happens for a fact, is people asking indie brands. Do they understand that indie brands, they don't have a profit margin really? Of course they have to make a little bit of profit, but you're taking their wage, their money away from them. What is wrong with you, you pathetic losers? Anyway, that's that. Next is, do you ever watch any content you don't enjoy and don't like? This is for content creators, because I understand YouTube works in a way of, you know, you don't watch my video and comment, and I'll not watch your video and comment, kind of thing. So that, you know, they generate whatever. I understand that's how YouTube works. It's a bit sad, isn't it, really? No, I don't do that, because I don't really care. I'm not after subscribers, followers. Same on Instagram. I can't possibly comment on every single post, so it's generally the ones that come up and the ones I enjoy. A lot of these people don't comment. Who cares? Only comment on stuff or watch stuff and engage with stuff you enjoy. However, I'm going to admit, I watch stuff I can't stand, because is it curtain twitching in a sense? I like to know what's going on. I like to watch influencers that make me very angry. They may talk about a fragrance I'm interested in. I know all they're going to do is give me the notes and tell me it's the greatest thing they've ever smelled. I know this, but sometimes I still watch it, and I like to know what's going on. It's keeping up with everything. I watch big people I can't stand. I mean, that's fine, people can't stand me either. They're doing their thing, they're not asking me to watch it, there's no obligation to, so, you know, it's only my fault I get irritated. But I think I enjoy that a bit. Maybe that's, I'm not very stereotypically British, but in that way I like being angry a little bit. So yeah, yes, I do watch stuff I don't like, but not for the quid pro quo reason. Who cares about that? Now, my favourite influencer fragrance. This is a fragrance made by somebody who's not a perfumer generally. Well, yeah, I'm going to keep it as that, as someone who is not a perfumer, who is just a face to a brand, because there's people like Angelos Olfatis who trained to be a perfumer and releases insanely wonderful perfumes. I'm not including people like him. I'm talking about the face of a brand, somebody who's either been used by a brand to promote something, or they've wanted a fragrance, so they've used a perfumer or whatever. So my favourite, I'm just going to pick one of my favourites, and that's Pendragon's Heart from Mirads, which is Fab Trends Mia's brand. And the reason, the fragrance is beautiful, the fragrance is really good, it's this fantastic tobacco fragrance. But what I will say to it is, this is a genuine collaboration. Miguel and Mia are friends. They are people who've been friends and got to know each other for years. So this is a proper collaboration, and because they're friends, I imagine they've created something truly between the two of them. Maybe Mia doesn't know as much about all that side of stuff, but Miguel obviously is a master perfumer, and for that reason these fragrances have come out. They are very things that Mia would like. You know, it's her taste with that Miguel style, and that's why I'm going to pick that as a favourite. Also, I'm not going to lie, I'm going to add on to the end here. Whatever people want to say about him and everything, he ain't my favourite. I think Office for Men. Take the price away from it. Given what all designer brands have been doing, you know, pumping out Aventus clones and all that jazz, I think an Aventus Sauvage Bleu de Chanel clone clumped into one, that actually is really good. Had it cost £100 or less, I wouldn't slag it off. It's not my usual sort of DNA, but you know what, it does all them things for me and I enjoy wearing it, so that's an added bonus. Have you ever regretted a buy? Oh yes. I'm not going to lie, I think we all do. I think people might be honest about that and say yes. Sometimes, why have I regretted it? Sometimes it's generally because I've gone and bought something retail and it's got much cheaper, or I've got something and you just go off it. I can't think of something specifically off the top of my head, but the answer to that is yeah, of course I have. There are a lot of fragrances I've got that kind of sit there, and when we first start this thing, we watch too much YouTube, read too much Instagram, and we don't understand how everything works, and we fall for the hype and we buy some dross. All of us are guilty of getting the hyped dross. Had I started now, would I have been sucked into the Middle Eastern nonsense? Potentially. I mean, they were hyped when I did start, but I don't think they handed out PR like candy like they do now, so perhaps it didn't quite catch on as much. But they've been about for years, and the reason they never got particularly big or what have you is because they weren't very good. But anyway, have you ever got into debt because of this? Now this is an important one to come from a content creator or influencer. Now influencers don't pay for their perfumes, so it's highly unlikely that they've got into debt, although they have 50 new fragrances a week from the latest brands, which is another reason why transparency and being honest is important. Because schmucks like me, normal people, when they start out, you see these people buying lots and lots of fragrances that they haven't bought, and it becomes an addiction and the urge is there. Now nowadays I'm very good, but there have been times where I have left myself very short just to get a fragrance. Have I got into debt? No. I spent most of my young life in debt. I know better than to miss out on stuff like food and that. So I've never got into the stage of debt of not paying my rent or vital things, but I have been silly. And I don't know if that's just me, but yeah, I imagine quite a few of us have got into debt. This is a weird question for me, because I'd never even really considered it. Do you buy for content? And then when I sat and thought about it, I think, don't be ridiculous. Of course I don't buy stuff for content. What's content? You've got to wear and enjoy this. Yeah, slightly flooded. Let's get through this. Yes, do you buy for content? No, I don't. And like I just was saying, the idea is ridiculous to me. What are you doing with your life? Do you really make enough money to... I get, obviously big influencers will do, but generally speaking, the average content creator, you don't make any money, or you make pennies or whatever. What are you doing? Why are you trying to make money this way? I'm sure most of us work, you know. I mean, it's fair enough, isn't it? And then I did think about this, and I thought, you know, all these amouage samples I spent a fortune on. Yes, I wanted to try them all. I absolutely wanted to try them all because I love the brand. But there is a little bit of in the background there. Of course I bought some of it for content, because nobody's ever reviewed all of them nearly. Like I say, I think I'm only missing about 4 or 5 of the entire normal amouage collection. We're not talking about the attars and stuff, I won't get into them. But yeah, I feel quite good about it. Nobody else has reviewed as many or talked about as many, and as honestly, you know, not just reading the notes and talking about PR or wanting bottles. I've ripped some to pieces because they ain't very good or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So no, I haven't directly bought for content, but yes, I think in the back of my mind maybe. So it's possible, and I'm not having a go at anyone about that. So I'll get to more positive things towards the end of it. What's the best thing about all this? And it sounds cheesy to say it, but I've no interest in being famous in my own head. Not like these jokers who buy subscribers and followers thinking nobody notices. I don't want loads of free stuff. PR's nice when you get it sometimes. If I got it all the time, I'd want to... the pressure, and it becomes like a job then, doesn't it? Plus it wouldn't last long because I'd say what I really thought about it. So that doesn't interest me. My honest thing is, it's just the interaction, and I actually enjoy fragrances, and I enjoy where they take me, which is why, like, if you follow me on Instagram and what have you, I do actual reviews of stuff. But when I've spoken about them a lot, I'll make it more objective and take it somewhere else and describe the fragrance in a different way, because I enjoy that. I enjoy reading about people's actual experiences with fragrances, whether I love them or not. It's always interesting. And the little discussions we have amongst ourselves. Generally you'll get the smaller content creators. We're just here to have fun. We're just here to interact and talk about smelly water because nobody in real life gets it. And whether you agree or disagree, it's funny, there's a little bit of banter there. We can't all love the same thing. It tends to be bigger folks who get a little bit bruised by this sometimes, or very delicate, snowflakey people who are people who hate woken snowflakes, but they are so sensitive and they get really offended if you don't like a fragrance they love. I mean, what? I've spoke to other bigger influencers and stuff, and some of the comments they get are disgusting, or people unsubscribing because they don't like one of their favourites. Wow. I mean, it's another reason I want to stay small, because wow. Yeah, it is one. I mean, they're in a weird order because of when I thought of them. I've ever blagged what a note is. Big influencers do this all the time because they just read the notes. They don't actually tell you what they can smell. I find if you say what you can smell, you're not going to blag, are you? Because you're just literally saying what you smell and your interpretation of it. That's not right or wrong. But you'll get, oh, I mean, they're adverts, aren't they? But they just blag. I remember someone saying a fragrance had desert rose in it. This person, as massive as they are, only ever really gets 2 or 3 comments. I wasn't being rude, I wasn't being confrontational or anything like that, and I just said, can you tell me what desert rose smells like? I've not smelt it, and you didn't really explain. I didn't put you didn't really explain it, but they just ignored it, and they only get 2 or 3 comments. So what that kind of implies is they just blagged it. They just you know, desert rose is listed, so I'm just going to write I smell desert rose, or say I smell desert rose, and loads of them do it. Have I done it? No, because I will. If there's a note, I don't know what it is, but it's a fairly reoccurring note, like obviously cypriol. Who the hell knows what cypriol is when you start out? Or ambrette, for example. We don't know what the hell these things are, what they might smell like, and what have you. But you learn by sniffing through as many as possible. And again, the bigger people don't really smell the fragrances, do they? They're most worn that if they pumped down on it, wouldn't even spray because they've never sprayed. You know what I mean? And that's how you kind of learn, isn't it? Plus I've smelt a few raw materials and that, and this is, I'm not going to say something, I can smell something if I can't. If I don't know what the hell it is, for example. You know, the amount of people who are given these scripts from these companies who smell unicorn horn and Venus flower from Venus, you know, oh yes, you really get the Venus flower, it's very Venusy. Shut up. Yeah, no I don't do that. And yes, more positive, the best PR I've received. I can't just have the one I haven't enjoyed the most, can I? This is really difficult. Again, because I don't really get a lot of PR, want a lot of PR, or understand why I get PR, because I don't know. So the best PR I've ever received. Now, I'm going to go for a really early one, because again, I'm fairly small on all platforms. You can see why. But I'm going to go for Bohemian from Swedoft. Now, Swedoft at the time were quite everywhere. They're a big brand, and yes, they did send out some PR. They generally tended to be PR towards people who are actually interested in fragrance and like them. And Bohemian is just one of the greatest fragrances I've ever smelt. We're not talking about that specifically here, but it's a big, huge, leathery, boozy, massive one that is just so smooth and well done. And that would stand up there as one of my favourite PRs, again because it was one of the first and it was from a well-established brand. And again, something else, I don't know what all other brands are like, but Swedoft never asked me to post about it, and they want feedback directly to them, and that makes sense. You don't have to love everything they send you and that. So yeah, but they went through a phase where they were getting slagged off by bitter people who weren't receiving the PR. That happens an awful lot. It's again another issue with PR, isn't it? People tend to hate. PR is just part of it. It is. You don't have to love it or whatever. Nowadays it's just how it is, isn't it? But yeah, I'm going to say Swedoft Mohican. And now my influencer heroes. My 5 influencer heroes. This is going to be really brief. I'm not going to go into loads of detail. First, I suppose, probably potentially be the oldest, is Clemence CC Fragrances. Clemence it still is. She's changed style and tact because this has become a main job. But she spoke honestly, she spoke in depth. She was really brilliant. Obviously, Clemence is trained in the industry. Her knowledge is stratospheric. But also, Clemence has helped me quite a bit when I started, and I'd call her a friend. So that's Clemence. I was going to put Mia in here, but I've already spoke about Mia. So next on the list is, it's obviously Lizzie, Rose and Jones. Hang on one second again. Just walk through this waterfall. There we are. Me and Lizzie have this same dry sense of humour and don't take it all seriously, and we kind of got on from the beginning. And the thing I think that works best for me and Lizzie is we have such opposite tastes. So yeah, we're kind of very opposites with everything, and tasted everything, never mind just perfume. And we get on and we have a bit of banter about it. And I imagine we both discovered things from each other that we never would have otherwise. Also, Lizzie's content is really, really good. There's no flowery nonsense, there's no influenciness. This is a fragrance I bought it off the cuff because I like the sound of it. It smells of this. No airs and graces. No, she just tells you what she smells and kind of transports you to the world it takes her by talking about it. Love it, great. Now they're all YouTubers obviously, because this is on YouTube. But next is the Centurion Scott. Scott was one of the first people I watched. He still makes videos now occasionally. Scott again is very just to the point, he just tells you what it's like, and he spoke about things nobody else was speaking about, and that obviously had an effect on me, you know, to explore things not everyone's talking about, and he does it well. And Scott again, I'd say, like all of these, is a good friend. He's a top bloke. He released his own fragrance, which was very good, and a little bit like an ode to one of his favourites from the past. So yeah, Scott the Centurion. Next, these are just 5 random off the top of my head. I don't love anyone more than anyone else, or blah blah blah, but these are people who've had an effect on me. Next is Yulia, Scentedsnowdrops, I think, on YouTube. If you haven't watched it, do check her out. Yulia started with just the videos where she just talk for hours about fragrances, and again, as a normal human being, just what she smelled and what she thought they were like. No nonsense. And obviously Yulia's, you know, she edits videos now, but again, there's still these same authentic just talking, and Yulia has a lot of fun with it. She doesn't take it seriously. She's also a lovely, fun woman, and just, this is what I enjoy most, is real people talking about real things. So for that reason, Yulia, Scentedsnowdrops is one of my faves. And finally is Dr. Claire Perfumes. I've always said the first video I watched of hers was an empties video. Claire's, I've got to not lie here, Claire's is the only one I can really watch and enjoy. Some people have started to do this more now, where it's not just this is an empty meh, this is an empty here. Claire kind of went into an extremely large amount of detail about each of them. Her experience, will she buy them again, what it was actually like, why she'd used it all up, and that was really kind of hypnotic. And then obviously Claire did more and more kind of fragrance based videos, and they are so detailed and again authentic. She's talking about her experience. Sometimes she'll have science ones which are fascinating. She's very honest, and that is such a rare thing. And for someone who's kind of got so big and still stayed that honest, authentic, says it how it is kind of person, it's great to see. But what isn't great to see is obviously the bigger people get, you get a bit of trolling, and Claire made a video which wasn't remotely offensive to anyone. I didn't mention anyone, it was just her opinions, but people who do, let's say, shifty things got very offended. Very offended. In fact, apparently some of them blocked her and what have you. I mean, what's the point in having a channel if it's not your channel, you're honest? Maybe these people need to ask themselves that question. But for that reason, Claire, and I have a great friendship with Claire now. Of these mentioned people, I think Claire's the only one I've met, and she's as pleasant in real life as she is on YouTube and that, and quite a drinker, I'll add that there. But yes, so that's Claire, and that's the last one. So I've ended this video on a positive note there, and that's the point. This is, you know, you get these endless same questions in these things. What is the best fragrance you own? Who do you want PR from? Which YouTuber do you want to notice you? How big do you want to get? What was your first fragrance? You know, all these repetitive questions that don't really ask anything. They're all very friendly and safe, so that you're not knocking off potential business things, which is what most people seem to be aiming for nowadays. I didn't want to do one like that. Again, I have nothing to gain or lose, because I just do this because I enjoy it, and that gives you a lot of freedom, I suppose. So again, there's no criticism of anyone in particular, or anyone, or any grouping, or any style, or anything anyone does. It's just, these are the questions when I feel we tune into these kind of question things that we want the answers to, real questions, with thoughtful answers, not vacuous, nothing anyway. So yeah, like I say, everyone's tagged. I do doubt I'll see any of these. And again, that's fair enough. What about you? So who are the influencers, content creators who've been your heroes, who've had the most positive effect on you? Maybe they have similar taste in it, all that, etc. Right folks, it's probably been very long. I feel like I've walked 10 miles doing it, so yeah, thanks, bye.